God, we thank you for your presence and for the way you provide for the Israelites and the way you provide for us. Help us to grow in faith so we can keep from doubting and complaining. Amen. All right, I ran out to the car because I was thinking I left it there. So here we go again. The Israelites are complaining about no water in the desert. Shocking that there's no water in the desert, isn't it? But the Lord had provided for them before in so many ways, but they had forgotten. And I think this raises a question of how do we live by faith? What is there enough evidence to believe in and trust in the Lord? Anybody here ever heard of a guy by the name of René Descartes? He was a 16th century, lived in the end of the 1500s, middle of the 1600s, so a 17th century mathematician, scientist, and philosopher from France. And he's famous for the phrase, I think, therefore I am. Je pense que je suis. I can't say it loud, so I'm not going to. I was showing off as that was. Anyway, I think, therefore I am. And as a leader in the age of reason, he was trying to put a firm foundation on which, without using biblical revelation or God's revelation, and it's not that he didn't believe in God, he did, but that he wanted to have a non-biblical foundation for knowledge that he could be firm on. So he said, I'm going to doubt every single thing I can possibly doubt. The problem was, and I read this when I was at university, not in French or Latin, by the way, but in English. It was fascinating because he said, I can't even prove that any of you exist because you just might be a dream. You might not be real. You know, today we have echoes of that movie, The Dream, where they're in the little
Matrix.
Not Inception, the other one.
Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah, the one I like better than Inception. The Matrix. Yeah. I'm tired, that's why I'm distracted. So he went through this process of doubting everything. The problem is, if you use that kind of radical doubt, how do you just live a normal life? I mean, I can doubt that Ryan's sick, but I still got to decide whether to take him to the doctor or not. I can doubt that I have a heart condition, but I got to decide whether I'm going to reduce the amount of salt and do my walking at an appropriate level, or am I just going to eat whatever I want, have all the fries, and ice cream, and kill myself? Yeah. No. The question is, we need to know what's a reasonable amount of evidence to believe something is true. Because the simple fact is, as the Israelites forgot about all the blessings of God, they got a little panicky. And the reality is, we can't know things for 100% sure as human beings. I mean, the simplest example is, as you know, I went in for atrial fibrillation, and in order to, they found a stent, they got a 90% blockage opened up for me, which is great. They had to give me blood thinners, and because of the blood thinners, I can't take my Celebrex anymore, my rheumatoid arthritis med, so I have more pain than I would normally have. If you saw me pray with the children's time and I almost fell over, yeah, I bent my knee the wrong way. So the reality is I have a little more pain. And it's fine when it's in my knee, but what happens when my shoulder hurts or I get some muscular pain in my chest, which I do get? And if you go to the doctors and say, how do I distinguish my cardiac pain, if I have any, from my arthritic pain? You know what doctors do? They smile. And sometimes they shrug. And sometimes they say, let's check your blood pressure, and go, yeah, what's your heart rate, what's your blood pressure? Yeah, you know what, Jim, it's got to be arthritis, everything else is good, because that's what the preponderance of the evidence suggests. And so what we need to look for in our lives is not perfect knowledge, because that doesn't exist. We need to look for a reasonable evidence to live our lives. And this is how we begin to live by faith. Faith in God, faith in The point is, what side of the road are we supposed to drive on? The right. Now, in Canada, in the United States, in the developed part of the world where you drive on the right side of the road, most of the time that happens. Unless, of course, you fall asleep like my brother and you drift over to the other side and end up in your neighbor's front lawn. And then your older brother has to come pick you up. And he gets to go back and fix their lawn up a couple days the next day. But even though those things happen from time to time, do we refuse to drive? No, we drive, but we try to pay attention for that. We use reasonable amount of evidence. And so we do that. And whenever we humans are not in control, like the Israelites in the desert were not in control, they panicked and started catastrophizing. Moses, you brought us out here to cause us, our children, and our livestock to all die of thirst. Which of course is not true, they just panicked. And why did they panic? Because they didn't have control. The simple fact, if I've learned anything with Ryan's sickness for the last 10 months, and as almost 30 years of ministry, even though we might fool ourselves into thinking we're in control, those of you who've been trying to plant your crops as farmers this spring, know you're not in control, right? We have to adapt to the reality around us. And so what do? We need to trust. Ultimately, I think we need to trust in God. So is it wise? Is there enough evidence to trust that God exists and is walking with us? One of the ways I think we can help look for that is to look for the blessings that happen in our lives. And to look to the stories of the Bible, because the stories of the Bible will give us the kind of blessings God will give us in our world and in our lives today. And so what do? Well, I think there's reasonable to believe in God because of the complexity we have with DNA and RNA and reproduction and the way this whole world works and fits together so intricately. Do we really think it's reasonable to believe it was an accident or the creation of some intelligent design? For me, it's a foregone conclusion that it's intelligent design. Even as a child growing up, as I saw calves being born on the farm growing up, as I saw the way the crops grew, I believed that there was a creator. Now, is that creator then the God of the Bible, the Jews and the Israelites and the Christians? Well, I think there's evidence, reasonable evidence to believe that, yes. If we look at how the law and the prophets and then Jesus most perfectly come. A couple of weeks ago we talked about the story of the Bible. There's a problem, and the human problem is we want to be boss of our own lives. And what's the solution to the boss of our own lives, which is sin, is to let Jesus be Lord? I think if you look at what the human condition is, that even though when we know what we're supposed to do, we have trouble doing it, as evidenced in dieting and other such things, the reality is I think that Jesus and the Bible of the Old and New Testament provide for us the very answers to the primary human question. How am I supposed to live without being in control? And even though I know what I'm supposed to do, sometimes I have trouble doing it. So what do we have? We have a God who created us, who forgives us when we do wrong, who promises to send the Holy Spirit to help us be the people and do the things we're supposed to do. And when we're not in control, we can trust Him to lead us and bless us. And what does that look like? It looks like trusting God even when things happen that we don't want to happen. And then finally, the last thing that I think gives us reasonable evidence to believe in God is that when Jesus was warning His disciples about false teachers, Jesus says this as recorded in Matthew's Gospel. Watch out for the false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Thus, by their fruit you will recognize them. So when we look at the fruitfulness of people who seek to follow Jesus Christ, what I see are people who know that we're not in control, but trust God to lead us. And I see see people who, as we put it into practice, again, not perfectly, but as we trust, God helps us to what? Live forgiving lives. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving people around us. More generous lives, willing to share in words and in deeds and in actions. And how do I know that this is kind of true? Well, those of us with the summer camp program know Dr. David Haskell, the professor at Laurier University, sociology prof, who's done the research and says that people who practice their faith are more generous with their time, their talents, and their treasures. And so I think there is a reasonable evidence to trust God. And if at worship services we take time to acknowledge and thank God for the blessings He gives us in the midst of the challenges that we face. As we hear about Eloise surprising people and continuing to progress. As we hear about Ryan, if he's going to need the bone marrow transplant, it's 24 matches, not a couple. When we hear that he gets to go to Princess Margaret, which was one of the choices, they didn't know where it was. But Laura, what did you find out when you were looking in that book you were reading about stem cell and bone marrow transplant? Princess Margaret's where they pioneered it in the whole world. So we got one of the best places, it said, to go in the world. When Carissa is trying to figure out, what did you say at one point to me, Carissa? I'm just going to let God decide where I'm going to go to school, because I don't want to make a decision and God didn't know. He gave you options. Yeah, good try, good dodge. Apparently God wants you to use those pro-con lists you always make. But to figure it out. You see, if we accept and look for and acknowledge the stuff, and we look at the way our summer camp program has been blessed over the years in surprising ways, I think there is reasonable evidence to suggest that God is with us, He is alive, and we have a reason to follow Him. And in my own situation, the fact that I got atrial fibrillation, they went in and did a test and found I had a 90% blockage that I didn't even know I had, and we caught it, and as the doctor told me after my stress test, yeah, Jim, there was no damage that we can tell there with your numbers, so you should make 100% recovery. We say, thank you, God. Now, does that mean if I did have damage, that I wouldn't worship God? No. But when we do experience blessings, we need to name them because it'll help us to be able to connect our current living with the stories of the Bible. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be the same. I haven't seen a lot of people walking around in fiery furnaces these days. But there will be correspondence of God providing as we need. And if we name those things, our faith will grow. And we can trust God. And we will be able to be the kind of people with our peace and strength in the tough times that we can be a witness and sign to our neighbors that Jesus is real. So why did Moses get angry with the people when they were complaining after all the blessings they got? Because he was wondering how much evidence do they need? Or in the phrase of the Bible, is the Lord with us or not? And I think the point of the story is that God promises to be with us. Let's keep our eyes and ears open to seeing that and praising Him and trusting Him when we see the signs. Let's pray. God, we thank you. And we praise you. Not as perfect people who get it right all the time, because we know that even as we do try to understand things, there are times we do make mistakes and we get it slightly wrong, but then we change and adapt and grow and learn. Continue to be at work in each of us as individuals, leading and blessing us, and as your church here at Hope and with our partners at St. Andrew's Carroll, that together and individually, we might live lives that bring glory to you and help us to share your good news and new life. We ask this in Jesus' strong name.